Where's that music coming from?
Not from anywhere on the ship.
Apologies, the most confounding thing. I appear to be singing.
I have sick bay for you, sir.
Most unusual, so peculiar.
We can confirm there are no injuries, just the daily mundane. A headache, a splinter,
A left ankle sprain. It's happening again.
why are we singing? Apologies, the most confounding thing. We appear to be singing, most unusual, so peculiar.
Hi everybody, this is Mark Chaffardini. Thanks so much for coming back to the Go See Talk podcast experience. Stardate 05302024. Set the atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed, get the flux capacitor fluxing, whatever you have to do to keep up with the brilliance, the sing-songy magnificence of our guests, Tom Polce and Kay Hanley. They work better all together. They overcome their obstacles as one. And we're about to have a most unusual, so peculiar conversation with these two. Kay, Tom, thanks for being on the show. How are things in your world?
Wow.
Wow is right.
That was a top quality intro, Mark. Thank you.
I bow to you guys. Your proliferance and perfection is just it's personified by your cuteness. Keep going.
Wow, alliteration, all improvised. Oh
You are
my
really
gosh.
just firing on all cylinders at 10 a.m.
How many espressos have you had so far? Wow.
I've had one coffee and a couple supplements. I think it's the supplements, you know.
Yes,
It's,
that's what we call them. Quotes.
they're legal now.
Yeah.
We can do it. We can do it.
Yes, yes.
I had dark chocolate for breakfast, so
They kickstart the endorphins.
breakfast of champions.
Yeah. Get that caffeine hit from the chocolate.
Yeah. Bam.
Well, I mean, how's your week? It's really only just started. Did you guys do anything fun for Memorial Day? How did you memorialize it?
Did you, Tom?
I had family over for a few days,
People
and then
from Massachusetts or Connecticut?
yeah, my brother from Chelmsford, and they went off to continue their week in Catalina Island. Shout out to my brother, and I did some smoking yesterday. I smoked some ribs and had a nice meal with the fam. That's about it.
I thought you meant I smoked some cigarettes or something else. That's but you smoked some meats.
Smoke some meats. Smoke those meats. Yep.
We have this thing in Texas. It's called the avocado egg, or the egg, or smoker.
egg,
It just takes a
the
long
egg.
time. Does it take a long time to smoke your ribs?
Well, I mean, longer. When you smoke, it's a long cook. So it was like 5 hours from beginning to end. But I've got like a pellet smoker that like I don't have to sit there and watch it. I've got a little app and it takes care of everything, and it just sort of like conveys the wood in, and I don't, it's as hands off as can be because I'm lazy.
I went to Home Depot and bought mulch and gardening stuff to start a project, but I got a late start, and I basically just lugged the mulch to the backyard where it sits in bags.
Baby steps. I
Yeah.
support you. Yeah.
Yeah. I did plant some flowers though, so that was good. And yeah.
Well, they say that the backyard of 1,000 Oz begins with a single step. Just throwing some mulch in a bag, like, hey, I'm gonna take a breather. This was
Yeah.
tough.
I
Wow.
love that attitude. I love that. I'm learning so much this morning already. It's
Right?
Well, I feel like I've learned so much from you. I have to, as two creatives who just make this magnificence musical melodies. How do you get up in the morning? What strikes you? What bolts you out of bed?
one pant leg at a time, mister. No, I don't know. Tom, I don't wait. So what is the question is what gets us
Us out of bed.
Yeah.
Well, some days it's existential fear and dread. In other days, it's holy crap, I got to get this thing done or get the kids off. So, I mean, pretty much like everybody else. Nothing special.
Yeah, I think about well, these days I agree with Tom. I mean, as as a person who makes a living from music, there are a lot of stressful days where you're just like, oh my God, I'm never gonna work again. I'm never getting another paycheck ever again.
Yeah.
Wow, how did it get to this? But I've been thinking that for 30 years, so
Yeah.
and still manage to eat
Make
and
it happen.
right. But these days, what gets me out of bed is I just got my husband and I bought a home in Woodland Hills, and it came with a pond and a turtle, an aquatic turtle. And so I named her Agatha.
Mm.
She is, we found out when we went to the reptile store that she's a red-eared slider. And I go out in the morning and feed her pellets, and she chases them around the pond. And it's just the most zen thing in the world. So I
Yeah.
have my coffee, my dog and my cat, and me and my husband when he's not on tour, which he is now. So it's just me and the cat and the dog. We just go out in the yard with my cup of coffee and feed Agatha and
That's
talk.
so sweet. That's so sweet.
So zen.
Yeah.
You know, a red-eared slider sounds like something that you would barbecue, not like actually eating a turtle, but it sounds like a delicacy, you know.
I've smoked one before, oddly enough. But yeah.
She's too, well, yeah, I can't imagine eating a turtle, especially now that I have one.
Yeah. It's too close. It's too close now.
Was
Also,
that in the seller's disclosure? You know, usually say they had foundation work or a new roof. Like, hey, turtle.
she
Yeah.
told us that the turtle was hybrid because we bought the house in January. So it was winter in California. And she told us that there was a turtle hibernate, and the pond didn't seem at the time like it would really be hospitable to any sort of living creature. So we were like, okay, sure. And so we had a guy come and clean out the pond, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, it's a real actual pond with a like water feature. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, Agatha's like, hey, what's up?
Wow.
It was great. It was a nice surprise.
Well, it sounds like, and Tom, maybe you could chime in on this. Now you have a whole new wealth of maybe inspiration. Because what I do is because I have daughters, and not gonna lie, even before I had daughters, I would just make up songs on the spot, and just sort of make my way through the day. But you two have turned that into a career and a wealth of accomplishments and accolades. So, did you ever think that this was going to be, hey, I'm kind of good at this?
Oh man. Okay. First, I must say that the conversation and questions, these are, bless you, we haven't gotten any of these, so off we go. Well, I will tell you that for whatever reason, I knew I was going to be a musician when I was before kindergarten. I knew it. I was making music. I'm one of the, and I just assumed everybody else knew what they were going to do until I got a little older and I realized that, oh, it's unusual, kind of unusual to, have, I guess, a calling or whatever the hell you'd call it. So, always knew. I think just because it seemed like it came pretty naturally and easy. I just seemed to have an ability early on. And then, of course, you hone it, but it just seemed like it was very natural for me. So there wasn't a moment. It was just I live and breathe music, always have. It's just how I've always been.
I didn't know that, Tom. I didn't know that you always knew.
I always knew.
And especially us being from New England, that is kind of unusual. And so Tom and I have known each other since we were in our early 20s. We come from like the same Boston music scene, and we've been in bands with each other. We've been in bands alongside each other. I personally never thought that I would make a career out of music. I didn't even know that that was a thing that you could do. I was terrible at piano. I took piano I took classical piano lessons for many years. tragically not good at it. And then my mother bought a guitar when I was, maybe my my preteens, to play at mass. Like there was like this new thing going on at Catholic mass, which was like young people with guitars playing.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And so my mother was like, hell yeah. So we started learning church songs together. And like, so I was like 10 maybe. And when she started singing these songs, like I just intuitively knew how to sing melodies. I mean, harmonies over her melodies. Like I couldn't not do it. Like anytime she sat down to play, I just like sang harmonies, and I would do that in the car. Like I was just harmonies over every song that I
Yes.
and but that never struck me as like a bankable skill, So I didn't really think any. And in fact, I was in a band thinking that I would, when I joined my cousin Greg's band when I was like 17 or 18, when I was a senior in high school. And like, I still didn't think. I was 25 and I got a record deal, and I still didn't think I was going to make a living as uh, as a musician. So yeah.
Well, I should also, make it clear that while yes, I always knew I'd be a musician, there was never the thought of career or, I didn't know I would be able to do that. I just know that I would be poor a musician. I would not be poor as a musician. Whatever it was, I would be a musician. So
Yeah.
I had no idea I would be able to, make a living from this. That was never the point. If that was ever a point of a musician, that's the worst decision you've ever made in your life. You do this because you have no choice, and that's really the right way to do this. What's that?
I said, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know it. I definitely didn't think you could make any money from it. And so that was never, ever the
correct. The reason.
The motivation ever. But I also just didn't know that you could do it for anything but a hobby. Like I always had, even like my entire 20s in Letters to Cleo, like we would be out on tour and I'd come back and just like immediately go back to my restaurant job. Like I never did work a job while I was doing the band, because I think you get the point. It just seems stupid to ever think that it would be a job.
Yeah.
Even when it was.
It's good that you two recognized that and accepted that as an early age, because I can't imagine, parents, their support only goes so far, to the point where if you say something, I want to play spoons on a street corner and just, see what happens. They're like, well, compared to going to law school or making crystal meth in your basement, I guess, that seems feasible. So,
sure.
Well, it's kind of charming too, because, once you find your groove, I mean, yes, nobody hits it out of the park immediately. And like you said, you were aware of the process and how you needed to learn and get where you're going. But what support did you have? I guess all that to say, what support did you have in friends, other musicians, people who, chided you on?
Oh man, I think I can speak for Tom as well as myself when I say the Boston music scene was in the late 80s and 90s was the best place to be in a band and to just like hone your craft when no one was looking. Cause like we weren't in New York or LA. So there weren't there weren't industry people like buzzing around waiting to scoop you up. It was like you really were just doing this thing for the love of, the college radio station or the Noise, which was like the local zine that like if you ever got your name listed in the Noise and like the gossip column in this zine, you were just like, oh my God, I'm star now, like, or like the BCN Rock and Roll Rumble, like we just had so much support locally that I never felt like I needed to leave. But I mean, I didn't have any financial support. I mean, I grew up, my parents didn't have money or anything like that. So I didn't have, I've always had a job. I would work a double at the restaurant on Thursday. We'd hop in the van and take a long weekend and play Friday, Saturday, Sunday in, New York, Philly, DC or whatever, or Jersey, and then come back.
Yeah. Ditto with that. Get out early at like 2:30 on a Thursday, drive to New York City, play, leave New York City at 1 a.m., get back at 5:30, get back to work at 9. It's nuts. Just nuts.
Things you can do when you're 23.
Yeah. So
just
true.
all that energy. And when, well, I was about to say when you have other
Stimulants. Yeah.
Stimulants to assist
Yes.
in the project.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of in the arts. I work for an architecture firm. We do hotels and resorts, and so what we're doing now is a hobby of mine. And I see people like Joe Rogan or other people who actually made. I mean, he was a comedian and a TV actor before that, but still, yeah. There's an idea that it does seem unfathomable that the thing you're passionate about, the thing you love to do, could actually become a profession. But I think that the difficult thing that anybody has in the arts is it's like trying to climb a ladder in the dark underwater. You really don't know which way you're going and what could be your next rung. But to kind of spur yourselves on, I don't know if this question is going to make sense, but what do you think is more helpful to you? Admiration or accomplishment? Or maybe affirmation or accomplishment?
In terms of the juice that propels you forward?
Yeah, because otherwise you would, I watched The Young Woman in the Sea, the new Disney movie, and she swam the English Channel. And it's just, at what point do you keep going? At what point, not to say give up, but you maybe change course or try something else? And I guess more of the inspiration, what helps you the most?
Well, if the only two choices are affirmation, I think is what you went to, affirmation or what accolades you said?
Accomplishments, like
Accomplishments.
personal, like
It's definitely affirmation. And that's probably gonna. I mean, I wouldn't choose either of those words, but if I had to choose one, it would be affirmation. The drive for me to do this is. It makes zero sense, and because it's not pragmatic, right? The drive to do this is something I can't really put my finger on. It's sort of like being an atheist that believes in magic. It's like which is a perfect way to describe me. Honestly, it's literally a perfect way to describe me. In that, I don't possess the necessary senses to assess what's going on, so I'm not going to suggest I know. I just know there's more happening than I can see, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just gonna, stay in my meat sack and try to just have an amazing trip while I'm here. So, and that's it. And whatever happens afterwards, it wouldn't surprise me if something happens, and it wouldn't surprise me if nothing happens. But that's okay, because I kind of believe in this right now. So there's no real, the drive is something I can't really put into a word. It's just there, and I know I'd be sad if I wasn't doing it.
You can only get that answer from a musician. I think that if I talk to a lawyer or a neurosurgeon.
No sense whatsoever is what he's saying.
No existential.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Kay?
I think both of those things are great. As Tom was talking, I was thinking it's the ability to continue going when you have neither of those things. Like when you hit those patch, because there's no, you're not punching a clock. There's no A plus B equals C. There's no, like, when you do a good job, you get promoted. I think Tom and I both could say that, like, some of the most talented musicians and songwriters and singers we've ever met are working at the fucking bank now. Like, they never got that opportunity. They never could survive that patch where just nothing was happening. And, whether it was financial or they got
emotional or whatever. Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, a lot of times it's dumb luck to survive till the next opportunity presents itself. And then when it does, you manage to capitalize on it because you're ready, you're in the positioned well to do it. And really that's the only difference between me and, a lot of people I know who had to bail in their 20s.
Yeah, it's that old, what is that old adage, when opportunity when opportunity coincides with preparedness or something like that, that thing where you're ready when the opportunity happens, some other shit happens. I don't know.
Or when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, that kind of, one of those old truisms.
It's like a fortune cookie right there.
Well, why don't we jump to the meat and potatoes of this? Season 2, Episode 9 of Strange New Worlds blew the lid off the Enterprise with songs and silliness, sincerity, and just it melted my heart. And I love musicals, even though I'm really not a musical fan. I want to say that probably my top 3 in the past couple of years have been Jingle Jangle, Anna and the Apocalypse, and I don't know if you consider this a music, but Sing Street. I think that songs that were
oh my God, the best.
High five, click.
Drive it like you stole it.
So much fun. So more people should talk about that. But more to you guys. What was the brief? Did you come in with fans? Did you come as fans? Did you come with like nothing and just like see what happens on day one? What happened that first day?
Well, I think it's pretty similar for both Kay and I. So I grew up with TOS, with the original series, right? On reruns, it was channel 38, WSBK for me. What was it for you, Kay?
WSBK.
Yeah.
And it's UHF, and then
Yeah. So as we know, there's not many seasons, there's not many episodes, so it was really easy to get through that thing from, when I was a kid up until I graduated high school. I had seen every friggin' episode of that thing several times, as I did with Gilligan's Island and in the Brady Bunch and all of that stuff. So in that regard, I think we were both pretty familiar with it. And then I was in college, I think that was Picard years, which I was into a little bit. And then that was sort of the extent of me having any semblance of a deep dive where I really knew something about it. It was everything else was on the periphery at that point. So that was basically what my take was. Was it any different for you, Kay?
No, I mean, when we first started doing these interviews, I don't want to bring it down, but I feel like I have to mention it. I talked about how my dad, I turned on to Star Trek by my dad. And it was like one of the things that we would watch together. And like, I just have such special memories of that. And he died in January, but he got to see this episode and got to see, all the stuff that I do. And so much of my love of, every Star Trek to the Boston Pops to, Elvis to whatever is because of him.
That's phenomenal. Sorry to hear about your dad, but closing the loop on that sounds extremely peaceful. What were some of his thoughts?
What my dad's thoughts about the Star Trek musical?
Yeah, just getting to see what his little K has done.
It's funny. The last time we were together before which was in December, he'd been playing cards with like all these ladies from my mom and dad lived down the Cape, and like once a week, all the girls would come over to play cards with my dad. And my dad, I've never heard my father like brag about me before. And like, he was bragging, like I was like, cleaning out his their refrigerator or something. And he was like bragging to all these old ladies from their peninsula God about how I was working in TV, how I was a TV, he kind of had the story wrong a little bit. Like,
doesn't matter.
It didn't matter. He had the crux of it, right? But it was like, oh my God, like he really, he knows what I do. Like, holy shit. So So yeah, he loved it. But did he it was more his when it comes to, you know, like I sought out the guidance of his grandsons when it came to who are my nephews, obviously. You do that sort of familial math. And you know, he raised the sort of grandchildren who dorked out on, you know, stuff like Star Trek and obviously Legos. And so I sought out their guidance when Tom and I were, you know, trying to, you know, piece together the lyrics for especially like the Spock song.
Well, speaking of the songs, which I can't pick a favorite. If I had to, maybe Phaser to my head, it's probably Keep Us Connected. It's just it's so you know, when songs hit their swells and they build and they get, you know, more outgoing, that's when it really suckers me in. Still love the introspective stuff, but when it's the sort of bring it home, that's when it really the fireworks start. But with a runtime, with the narrative, how do you decide on how many songs, what makes the cut, whether it's forced? I mean, it seems like a musical episode of Star Trek would be forced, but you made it work, and I'm a fan.
Well, I'm glad you're a fan. Well, first, you know, I think both of us, when we took the gig, either, you know, while taking it or shortly thereafter, realized, oh my God, you know, this Star Trek music, what do we just do? Star Trek musical. I mean, you got so much to live up to. It's such an unusual and it's just an unusual idea of like, okay, sci-fi musical, like what is this going to be? Oh my God, this could go so wrong so quickly. And then just stepping up and getting through that, which we did. And then it, you know, initially it started off with I think 5 or 6 songs, right? And we had 5 weeks, and that was a really short amount of time to not, you know, we had to write them, but then we needed to record them, and then we needed to get demo singers, and then we needed to get it approved and get revisions and all these things. It's just not a lot of time. Those 5 or 6 songs turned into 9 songs.
You're like, JK, can you do 4 more?
Yeah, through our Zoom
Is this
meetings.
a 2-parter? No, it's just a one episode.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, it just sort of, there was never really a conversation about time, like, you know, how much time, make sure you don't go over it, or hey, we don't have enough. It really was every creative decision as it relates to the music was, you know, from a plot perspective and from a character development perspective, we really need something like this to happen. So here we need this person to go through this thing because this is happening. Go write a song. You know, that was basically it.
They really didn't ask us to write a musical either. They were pretty open to us writing songs that were more sort of you know, modern pop or rock songs. So we didn't have to, you know, we never felt like we were writing these stagey songs.
Yeah. And from an aesthetic, you know, that was an aesthetic we all wanted to hat tip a few times. You know, you've got ensemble numbers, and then you've got the waltz with Una, which is the real hat tip to, you know, the old school traditional musical. But we, you know, the aesthetic we discussed was, you know, having these little hat tips and basically having a massive orchestra be the band behind these more pop or more modern songs, right?
You went into this, you probably said the shepherd's prayer. Dear Lord, please don't let me fuck this up.
Yes.
That's the Alan Shepherd's prayer.
Yeah.
But more to that point, I have some fun questions I want to ask you. So, speaking of Alan Shepard, do you think this score could use a song or two?
Oh my God, I don't know. Are you suggesting that there be a
Musical?
Well, no, not necessarily musical, but could you go back and rescore this with songs? And the reason I'm asking is because it seems like you got extreme wish fulfillment, something that's, you know, not been done since maybe the Buffy musical episode. But if you can sort of wave a magic wand, I mean, you guys have made your careers fascinating careers and gotten to write your own ticket, but just having some fun. Could this use at least one song? Do you think we can go back and mess with Bill Conti's music?
Well, good luck with that.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
I would say that, look, so does it need a song? No. Would I have been afraid to write a song that would fit in that prior to doing this sci-fi musical successfully, in my opinion? I would be terrified. Am I afraid now? I'm pretty much not afraid of anything at this point. I'm not afraid to write a song about anything, after this. So I think we could crush it.
Okay. Confirm, deny?
Well, tangentially, because he already answered the question perfectly. I want to write Baby Reindeer, the musical.
Oh, let's go. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I have not I haven't started it.
Well,
if
when
you were a Netflix producer, sell me on it. What do you like about it?
Well, I mean, the emotional stakes that are present throughout it's unbelievable how things just keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse for this character, and you're right along with him, and these characters are so big.
Juicy.
And Martha, who plays the stalker, I'm sure I'm not spoiling anything by letting you know that there's a stalker. Martha's character was born to sing songs. This character is just a musical star waiting to happen. I just wish that Tom and I could get our hands on it and
the psychological mind effery and just like writing songs in that world. I mean, it's just such a full bag of groceries to make a soup out of. There's just so much there,
And just like the deepest, darkest traumas that any of us have suffered from childhood to adulthood, it's so universal. Like the kind of suffering that these characters have are so universal that we're not affected because we can't relate. We're absolutely horrified because we can.
It's too close. Yeah.
Well, then I think we just got an idea. We need to put ourselves together in a room. Let's come up with a Buffalo Bill the musical.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then that'll be like the scratch test. And then once that happens, we'll be like, yeah, please, Kay and Tom, do the Baby Reindeer. I'll have at it.
Done.
Well, let's do one other one. Here is a funny Star Trek related Daniel Pemberton special. Have you seen this episode of Black Mirror?
Oh, wow. Oh, wait.
I have not seen that one, and I know I should have.
I don't think I've seen that one. What season?
Season 3, I think.
Okay.
It's where it's obviously a takeoff on Star Trek, but they call it Space Fleet. And this program.
I have seen this. I have seen this one. Okay. That was crazy. So the guy that played the captain, as I recall, is that crazy good actor. He was in Fargo, if I recall. He played a butcher. He was, oh my God, that was such a good one. And it turns out that I'm hoping I'm remembering the right one. It could only be this one, where this was all in his imagination, or he actually had his coworkers that he sucked into his reality and he wouldn't let them out, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
You would love this.
Wow, I'm watching it today.
It's so good.
I'm gonna watch it today.
Yeah. That one totally could. Easy. That's an easy 6 songs from Kay. Give us a couple weeks. We'll rock that. No problem.
Because it's funny, you mention Baby Reindeer, I mentioned Buffalo Bill. It's like these people, as I think, Kay, as you were referring, they have such a different way of thinking, obviously, because they're tortured and fanatical, but that's something inside them propels them, and it couldn't be described other than song. I think I've never thought of it like that, Kay. You are a genius. Certified Lego genius.
I mean, come on. I'm glad someone finally recognized that.
It's the hair, isn't it? All right, got another one for you. This one is fun.
Galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what's the question here? Could that use song? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? Well, at this point, I mean, we're two in, and I think my answer was I'm no longer afraid. So yes, absolutely, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Galaxy could, yes, could absolutely use songs.
Yeah, I'm pro sci-fi musical songs at this point in my life.
I think what
That's-
Tom said is absolutely right. It's like before there's pre-Star Trek us and there's post-Star Trek us. And
Yeah.
post-Star Trek us can write a song for literally any everything.
Yeah. No fear.
Well, I would love to see the song and dance number of the Miners. And he's like, could those be the Miners? They're like 3 years old. Miners, not minors. You lost me. I love that part. And then
Wow,
like
you just
singing.
spitballed.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about this last one? Last one, just for fun.
Totally.
Oh,
Oh, was that
oh.
Schwarzenegger?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was.
What year was that? I wasn't allowed to watch
80-something.
R-rated.
89, I think.
I
That
wasn't
movie
allowed
messed
to
me
watch
up.
R-rated movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, The Fifth Element would have been another good one to throw in there. That one definitely could use songs, but so what, as long as Arnold sang something, so long as we could write for Arnold to sing, sure, would do Total Recall one.
There are so many people out there who do good impressions of him where he's like, I want to dance with somebody. And it makes me laugh. Anyway, I would have gone full Arnold, but I want to spare you your ears and
Dial it down.
my professionalism. Before we head out, is there a line, whether it's writing songs for a show or your own personal takes or albums, like how do you blend the silliness with the seriousness, or do you have a line?
Oh, okay. I'll start, and Kay can continue. Well, as it relates to songs that we're writing for shows, right, which is different from when we're writing songs in a band, our band, and our solo thing. We're serving something. We're serving somebody else's vision. So one of the nice things about writing for visual media is that we already know what we're supposed to be writing about, right? And since a lot of the things we're writing about involve themes that are universal, that don't necessarily need to be, completely bespoke to that situation, we can say things, and Kay's mentioned this before perfectly, but essentially you can sort of like put this cloak of anonymity on and relate to the emotional themes of the song we need to write, and just exercise your demons, because nobody's going to know that you're really writing about yourself.
Yep.
And when you do that, what happens naturally, I think, provided the song is good, the melody's good, and all that, is that it instantly relates to people on a level outside of the narrative. So while it does need to, make sense with that narrative, it's when you're able to connect to something real with the listener, that's when you get to that place that you want to get to. So that's what you're always shooting for, right? Does that sound right? Okay.
That belongs in a fortune cookie. Going back to what we were saying earlier, I want a scroll of that.
Just a long fortune cookie.
And as my friend Shelley Pike in The Songwriter says, dare to suck.
Well,
we dare a lot.
If you think of Sing Street, rock and roll is a risk. You risk being ridiculed. That's something I live by, even though I don't play anything but a guitar. Well, parting is such sweet sorrow, but I think one of the beautiful things that I've gleaned from you too is that follow your dreams, don't need a plan, pure ambition, follow your heart, and success will be there eventually.
Generally, maybe. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, and the reason that I was asking about the seriousness and the silliness, two of my favorite bands are The Offspring and Goldfinger. And Offspring has a song called "When You're in Prison," has this old ragtimey tune to it, and then Goldfinger has a song called "My Girlfriend's Shower Sucks." Now, that's not to take anything away from "Here in Your Bedroom" and Superman, or Pretty Fly for a White Guy. I mean, these are people who make people happy with their music, and it doesn't all have to be serious. They can have some fun at the expense. So,
Good old Feldy.
Agreed. Agreed.
well, Kay, Tom, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone, check out Strange New Worlds. Check out Letters to Cleo. Check out anything with Tom and Kay in front of it, even if it's Thomas Edison and Kay Buchanan. These people have great names. I just made that up. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram. Be their friends. Send them a letter. Tell them how great they are, because we certainly are doing it now. Tom, Kay, thank you. We will let you go, and we will catch you next time.